Alrighty, guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Satisfactory with Lone Debater 7. And today we are going to be building a factory that is going to produce for us encased steel beams automatically. Since last time, I went ahead and doubled up our modular power plant, so I built another 5 low voltage generators to just give us a little bit more headroom. After the last episode, we were pretty much right at our max consumption for our generation, so figured better expand the power first. I also did a couple of milestones so we would have more stuff to build factories for. So, first things first, let's figure out where we want to store these. I think storing them right here, this is a decent spot for encased steel beams. And let's just take a look and see what is required to make these. Now, I'm thinking I'm just going to shoot for 6 beams a minute for our storage box. And the reason for that is we don't need a whole lot of these in order to construct the buildings that we need to expand our factory, etc. They are utilized for the tier 2 miners. So I have 12 of them on me, so I can place a couple of tier 2 miners. But beyond that, we really don't have a use for these at this point in the game. Now they are used for like versatile frames, but we're going to do a separate factory to make those specifically. Um, so the six per minute that we're shooting to make with this build is just for us to construct more buildings with. Now to accommodate this, we need to produce 30 concrete per minute, and we need to produce 24 steel beams a minute. So what I'm planning for on that is we're going to do 30 steel plate per minute, utilizing 2 constructors, kind of like this build over here, and then 2 constructors making concrete as well off of limestone. So let's kind of get some stuff placed. I think we will work from the end of the production line forward this time. So first things first, let's place our assembler down. And actually I want to kind of nudge this a bit so it's in the middle of this foundation. Not super critical, but this is what I would like to do. Plug that into the box, and this is going to make our encased industrial beam. So there's that. Easy enough, right? See, easy start, easy start. We will plug this into power. Where do I have it? Do I have it? Does not look like it. So I will just bring one up over this way and plug it into our network right here. So we have some more power available for the rest of the build. Now to get this done, I am going to need 2 foundries running the alternate blueprint recipe to feed our steel plates. So let's place the constructors for steel plates next. And I think we will have these targeted right here. Or steel beam. It's not steel plate, it's steel beam. We're going to make 30 steel beam a minute, which is going to require us to feed in a total of 60 steel ingots per minute per constructor. In other words, we need to have a total of 120 steel ingot being produced in order to run this part of the build. Now that is quite a bit of steel. However, we should be able to do this relatively easily. Plug these guys in so they're ready to go. Now from here, we need a merger to combine these lines together. And how do I want this? I guess I could set this like this. And we'll run in a belt here. We'll run a belt like this. A little wavy one, but that's okay. And we'll run a belt like this. So there is steel plate being fed in. We also need 30 concrete coming into this guy. So we'll place another 2 constructors here and here, each making concrete. One constructor does 15 for 45 limestone. So we need a total of 90 limestone per minute in order to get the concrete built. That is not too bad, honestly. Fairly inexpensive. We should be able to accomplish that reasonably easily. I just want to put this on the corner of the foundation. There we go. Right, that one's plugged in, this one's plugged in, and that's excellent. Now for the actual limestone, we can just throw down our our miner for limestone right back here and feed it straight in. So let's get the splitter set up for that. We are going to have this guy go right here. One belt is going to feed in this constructor. The other belt will feed into this constructor. And then I can get away with using a normal limestone node to feed both of these if I utilize a Mark II miner. which is exactly what I plan to do. So I'm just going to run over here, grab 1,000 limestone. Cool, just like that. We can place that node and kind of get that part of the build figured out. And then I need to figure out the steel plate, which is going to take up quite a bit more space, which I think there's enough back here. We'll find out, I suppose. Resources, limestone normal. And I do want this in line with that splitter. And I think if I place it 2 back, maybe, you know what, we'll go 3 back, just to be safe. And then we are going to use a miner mark 2, that way I don't have to overclock anything. And a miner mark 2 on a normal node will give us 120 per minute of our limestone, so it's more than what we require, but it will be sufficient for this part of the build. So that is concrete sorted. We do need to pipe it into our assembler up at the front. So we'll grab another merger. That right there. This will plug in there. I think I will bring this guy in like that. This one like that. Excellent. So there. Oh, whoops. Why did this not go up? Like, strange. Okay, that's fine. Just break that. Oh, we don't need that there. So, okay. Concrete is done. Now for the fun part, steel beams. Now, steel beams are a little bit complicated in the sense that they require steel, which is a dual-purpose recipe. So I need 2 foundries for each of these. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of place these so we have an idea of where we need to bring resource. So I'm going to have 2 there, and I'd like to fit 2 maybe here would be good. It's not quite wide enough, so I think I need to push this back, which is just fine. So we'll bring these foundries right here, so 1 and 2. And then I'm going to have 2 more, 3, 4. And we are going to utilize the alternate carbon steel ingot recipe. This comes from the refined power mod. It utilizes carbon dust instead of coal to generate our steel. It gives you a better ratio, is basically the thing. It does 30 per minute instead of 45, so it's more of a exact thing, which is why I like using this instead. It is slightly less efficient on power, just because the normal recipe generates 45 instead of 30 per minute, so you save a little bit of power, but power is not really an issue for us anymore, so I'm not worried about that in the slightest. Now this is a 60 per minute output from that merger, so we can still use Mark 1 belts, and we can use Mark 1 belts for almost all of this build. Now this is going to plug it in there, so I think what we do, line up the merger like right here maybe, should be pretty good. Maybe it's in there, and this, is that about right? It's about right. It's a little bit forward, I guess. Am I okay with that? No. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. We'll just plug those in, sure. Let's get power to these as well. 2. This can plug into that hole. Great. And I am going to need another power pole down here for the other 2. And 2. Then I need to bring power back behind in order to run the constructors for carbon dust and the smelters for iron ingots. I think I will actually expand this back 1 more tile, just so we have all of the logistics happening on a floor instead of hanging off the edge. Doesn't matter that much. You know, you can have floating belts in this game, but we're going to try to have a floor farm instead. So for these, I need to supply 15 iron ingots and 45 carbon dust per. So I need to have 2 constructors making carbon dust for us. So 1 constructor will supply 2 machines. Is how this ratio works. And how do I want to set these? I guess we could put 1 there, and then we maybe have 1, like, honestly, it'd be better. Sure, we'll place 1 there too. Why not? And we'll pick carbon dust, and I am going to power both of these off the same pole. Plug that in. Great. So this is carbon dust. It does 100 a minute, and it's going to be these two machines. Sorry about that. So we need to run a splitter. Wouldn't you know? And that is A-OK. So that's in line with that. That's in line with that. Now, into the foundry, we can use just a Mark 1 belt, but out of this constructor, we need a Mark 2 belt in order to get the 100 that we need to supply this with. So, set that up. Run this into our foundry. So that's carbon dust. And we'll do a similar thing over here for the other foundry. So we've got those in line, actually. So we'll actually keep that in mind. Like that. And this power pole is just bridging, so I'm actually going to move it so it's not on top of our belt. I suppose I could plug it into this one. That actually works a little bit better, maybe. Let's set the recipe on this constructor so I do not forget later. But there we go. So I need to have 40 coal per minute going into each of these constructors. So I can do that, again, with a single pure node of coal. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's go ahead and get the smelter set up. I need one smelter for right here to power those two, or feed those two rather. It's not really powering them. Then I need another smelter, maybe like right here, to feed these two. We're going to go ahead and split these because they only need 15 ingots each, right? We'll look at the recipe in just a second. One smelter is going to do 30 iron ingots per minute, and I need 15 of those a minute into each foundry. So a single smelter a pop will run this. Plug those in. Great, that's one. This guy needs power. Sure, you can plug in there. Why not? You can plug in there too. We'll put the nodes for iron and coal back here, I think. So just run those back so they are ready to roll. Let's go ahead and grab another splitter. We are going to have it feed in from there. Now, I'm curious. Hopefully this is going to be able to go with the belt like that. It's not. Okay. Unfortunate. So, if I push it out further, it maybe will have it easier to jump on this. What about here? Can you handle this? You cannot. Okay. We're maybe going to push this splitter back slightly, just to make it so we can get our belt through. So yeah, we'll put the smelter back like this, and it can fit just fine. Great. These are all Mark 1s. That's all we need. And I think we'll be okay on iron ingot. Running a little bit low, but I think that'll be just fine. Set this back to iron ingot, plug it back into power pole. Great. Now we need to add a coal node to supply our 2 carbon dusts. And then we need to provide a iron node to supply these 2 smelters. So the coal for the dust, we need 80 a minute. And the iron for the smelters, we need 60 a minute. So we need a single normal node of coal and a single normal node of iron. The iron node will use a Mark 1 miner, and the coal node will use a Mark 2 miner. So we'll grab this. Let's get the coal first, I suppose. So need 1,000 ore. Easy peasy. I might be able to hold the iron, actually. So let's try to do that. I need another 1,000. Cool. We can hold both. That's great. Only one trip. Woo woo. With doing some milestones and all of that, I have increased my inventory capacity quite a bit. That's why we can now carry quite a bit of ore around with us. So it does make this part a little bit easier. So I have 2 constructors. So one there, one there. Then I've got 2 smelters. I think what we can do is we can actually throw our coal and our iron nodes back here, where our other two miners are. So there's the coal, there's the iron. Iron is going to be a Mark 1 miner. Face this direction. And the coal is going to be a Mark 2 miner facing this direction. Oh, I need 8 encased beams to place that second one. I thought it was 6 per, but I must have misread that. So we'll just run over to our hand crafter and make another 8 encased industrial beam real quick so we can finish out this build. But once we plug in the coal and the iron, we should be ready to roll and get 6 encased industrial beams per minute produced inside of our factory, which will be excellent. And I won't have to handcraft encased industrial beams for more tier 2 miners anymore, which would be excellent. So let's slide back over here, grab our Mark 2 miner, resource node. Fantastic. Plug both of these guys into this power pole. Plug those into that power pole. Now, the iron can run off of a Mark 1 belt, but the coal needs to come off of a Mark 2 belt. So, let's see, I think putting the splitter combined with this one is maybe going to be slightly better for us. Put you in there. Do I have enough iron to build this? I do. Would I like to build it with a curve? I would. So. It does take slightly more iron than is required, but that's okay. Then the splitter for this one, we want in line with this constructor. And then we're going to branch it out in this direction. We are actually going to be slightly short on iron plate, so I think I will go pick some of those up real quick. I don't need to use Mark II belts. I know I could, and it's not going to impact anything, but I don't want to waste the reinforced iron. I know that I'm building it automatically, and it's not really a waste, and yada yada, but we'll just go grab 200 iron plate. It's not that far. I plan on getting the milestone for Hypertune soon. That way we can kind of get around the factory a bit quicker. But anyway, let's go ahead and grab our Mark II belt to feed this guy. So there's that. Then let's get the far one first. Actually, is this? Yeah, that doesn't bend perfect. No, it doesn't. Gonna say, cool, we have the splitter just set up so it doesn't bend. And there is the coal ore going in to make us our carbon dust, and that should be the build complete. We will go ahead and build a little lookout tower so we can take a peek at what's going on here. Where do they say that? Organization. Here we go. Place down this, up, climb, so we can look at our new build. So basically, we have this assembler right here, making us 6 encased industrial beam a minute. That requires 30 concrete per minute, which is being made in these 2 constructors off of a normal node of limestone with a Mark II miner. Then we've got 2 constructors making steel plate for a total of 30 a minute. It only requires 24, but we're going to overfeed it just slightly. Those feed in to make our beams. To run these 2 constructors making the 30 steel plate, we need 4 foundries for a total of 120 steel ingot per minute. To run 4 foundries, we need 2 constructors making carbon dust. That's requiring a total of 80 coal per minute. And then we need 2 smelters making iron ingots, and that is a total of 60 iron ore a minute. So this build requires 1 normal limestone node, 1 normal coal node, and 1 normal iron node. It requires a single Mark I miner on the iron, and then 2 Mark II miners, 1 for the coal and 1 for the limestone. And that is this build done. So we can see the first little bit of steel plate is trickling in. That's the longest, that takes the longest to spool up just because there's a few steps that need to happen. But we are now feeding this constructor, or assembler rather, so we should see some encased industrial beam being constructed. Yep, we are about to get our first production done. Oh, look at this. We can watch it go into the box. Ooh, go around that bend to our container. And there we have it. We have our encased industrial beams automated for construction. Fantastic. The footprint on this is a little bit large. We could definitely compact it if we put the foundries above where the smelters and the constructors for the requisite materials for steel are located, but I don't mind. It's actually not that big, all things considered. I think this is approximately a 6 by 10 in foundation, so it's big, don't get me wrong, but not that big. Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. I think in the next episode, we're going to take a look at building a stator factory to automate the creation of stators for us. So if you want to see that, be sure to check out the playlist, subscribe to the channel, all those things. But guys, it's been Lone Debater 7, and until next time, we will see ya.